Step aside. You're holding up the line. Didn't you hear me? I said move. The woman froze as the guard's hand slammed down on the table beside her purse. People behind her shifted, sighed, stared at the floor. No one said a word. She looked to be in her late 40s, tired eyes, simple clothes. She was just trying to get inside the courthouse to request a public record. One paper, one signature. Something she needed that day for her family. She had already taken time off, already waited weeks to get this far. The guard didn't rush. He never did. He leaned back, checked the line, then slowly waved his scanner again, even though the machine had already cleared her. That beep means a delay, he said. Delays can take a while. She apologized, quietly. She reached into her pockets, flustered, embarrassed. The people behind her watched, some annoyed, some nervous. Everyone understood the rule. Don't make trouble here. The guard lowered his voice. Public records is packed today. Could be hours. Sometimes they lose requests. Sometimes things just sit. He shrugged. Unless you know how to avoid that. She hesitated. He waited. A folded bill appeared between her fingers. Not waved, not offered out loud, just there. The guard took it without looking. Suddenly, his tone changed. All right, go ahead. Ask for the office down the hall. Tell them you were sent. The line moved again. The woman walked forward, face burning, hands shaking. Behind her, no one reacted. Not a sound. Inside that building, this wasn't the first time it happened, and it wouldn't be the last, unless someone decided this moment was one too many. The federal courthouse stood tall, a block of grey stone in the heart of the city. Inside its walls, countless lives changed direction every single day. People came seeking justice, carrying heavy burdens, or just needing a simple document. The air often hummed with a quiet tension, a mix of hope, fear, and the slow, grinding machinery of the law. For most citizens, it was a place of formal procedures, confusing paperwork, and long waits. They trusted that the system, though slow, was fair. But slowly, something unseen had begun to chip away at that trust, a whisper of something wrong, a small crack in the foundation. Judge Anna Reynolds knew this building better than almost anyone. In her late 40s, a widow raising a teenage daughter, Anna carried the weight of her profession with quiet strength. She was known for her clear legal mind and a deep belief in justice for everyone. From her high bench, she saw the endless parade of human stories, the triumphs and the tragedies. Yet lately, a different kind of story had reached her ears, not from the courtroom floor, but through anonymous complaints. They spoke of trouble getting simple things done, of people paying for faster service to navigate the public areas of the very courthouse where she served. These whispers disturbed her, a growing unease that settled deep within her sense of duty. Anna believed in the integrity of the institution she represented. It was more than just a job. It was a commitment. To hear that everyday people, often already stressed and vulnerable, were being taken advantage of within those very walls, it felt like a betrayal. The complaints were vague, hard to pin down with official investigations. They spoke of small, almost invisible roadblocks, tiny inconveniences that could be made to disappear with a bit of help. Anna knew that these small acts, if left unchecked, could rot the system from the inside out, making justice feel less about fairness and more about who knew the secret handshake. She wrestled with the problem, looking at reports, asking quiet questions, but nothing concrete ever surfaced. The official channels always came up empty. One evening, after putting her daughter to bed, Anna sat at her kitchen table, staring at a stack of documents. Her mind kept going back to the complaints. She realized she couldn't understand the problem from her elevated position, from behind her robes. She needed to see it, feel it, just like the people who wrote those anonymous letters. A radical idea began to form. She would step down, not just from the bench, but from her identity. she would become one of those ordinary citizens lost in the maze of the courthouse, looking for a simple public record. Only by walking in their shoes, she thought, could she truly uncover the truth. It was a risky move, one that went against every formal procedure. But her sense of responsibility was too strong to ignore. The next morning, Anna Reynolds shed her judicial robes. She chose simple, practical clothes, nothing that would draw attention. Her hair was pulled back plainly. She left her official ID and the aura of her position behind. She became just another face in the crowd, a woman with a purpose, but outwardly unremarkable. Taking a deep breath, she walked into the federal courthouse, not through the private entrance reserved for judges and staff, but through the main public doors. The heavy doors swung shut behind her with a soft thud, sealing her transformation. The air inside was different from her usual experience. It was louder, more chaotic, filled with the murmurs of dozens of conversations, the shuffling of feet, the echoing clang of a metal detector. A long line of people snaked toward the security checkpoint. Anna joined the end of it, clutching a small purse. She watched the security guard at the front, a burly man with tired eyes and a name tag that read, Mark. Mark looked like he had seen it all and nothing surprised him anymore. His movements were slow, almost bored, as he processed each person, scanning bags, waving wands. Anna felt the collective patience in the line start to thin, the quiet frustration growing. When it was finally her turn, Anna stepped forward. Mark barely glanced at her. Bags on the belt, he mumbled, his eyes already drifting to the next person. Anna placed her purse on the conveyor. It went through and then she walked through the metal detector. It beeped. Mark sighed, a loud theatrical sound. "Hold on," he said, not looking at her, still waving his wand over someone else. Anna waited. He finished with the other person, then slowly turned back to her. "What's in your pockets?" he asked, his voice flat. "Nothing," Anna replied, though she knew she had a small coin in her jeans. She had deliberately made herself a typical, slightly flustered citizen. Mark raised an eyebrow. "Sure, nothing. Step over here." He gestured toward a side table. He began to pat her down, his movements perfunctory, but the wait felt unnecessarily long. He took his time, lingering on her jacket, even though the metal detector had already cleared her. "You looking for something specific, ma'am?" he asked, his voice suddenly a little softer, a hint of something else in his tone. "Just trying to get some public records," Anna said, trying to sound a little overwhelmed, a little out of her depth. "A birth certificate, actually. I need it quickly for a family matter." Mark finally finished the pat-down. He pointed vaguely down a hallway. "Public records office is down there, but the line's usually pretty long this time of day. And getting a birth certificate expedited, that's a whole other story. Takes weeks sometimes." He leaned in slightly, his voice dropping. "Unless, of course, you know how to make things move a little faster." He gave her a knowing look, a quick, almost imperceptible nod towards his own hand. "For a small expediting fee, of course. Just to make sure your documents get to the top of the pile. You understand? Bypasses all the fuss." He wasn't subtle, but it was clear enough. He was asking for money, an unofficial payment, right there, in plain sight with others in line listening. The humiliation was immediate, a cold knot in Anna's stomach. She felt the weight of her judicial oath, the anger rising, but she held it back. She needed to see this through. Anna feigned a moment of hesitation, then reached into her purse. She pulled out a $20 bill and discreetly pressed it into Mark's palm. He pocketed it with practiced ease, a quick flick of the wrist. "All right, ma'am," he said, his smile now wider, almost friendly. "You go on down that hall, ask for Brenda. Tell her Mark sent you. She'll take care of you right away. No lines for you today." His voice was loud enough for the next person in line to hear. Anna felt a wave of cold indignation wash over her. It wasn't just the $20, it was the casual entitlement, the blatant disregard for the rules, the power he held over unsuspecting people, all for a non-existent line. Her commitment to justice hardened into a quiet resolve. This was exactly what she had come to find. And now that she had found it, she knew she couldn't turn back. She had paid the price, and now the investigation had truly begun. Anna walked down the hall, the $20 bill still warm in Mark's pocket. The Public Records Office was indeed busy, but there was no special fast track. She simply joined the regular line, observed, and eventually got her generic birth certificate application handled. The process was slow, just as it was for everyone else. What Mark offered was an illusion, a confidence trick designed to take advantage of people's lack of knowledge and their desperation for speed. The indignation she felt was not just for herself, but for every other citizen who had been conned. Over the next few days, Anna returned to the courthouse, always in plain clothes, always playing a different role. Sometimes she was looking for a court schedule, other times for information on property deeds, or just observing a public hearing. Each visit peeled back another layer of the courthouse's hidden system. Mark was not alone. He was part of a small network. She saw him wave people through security lines faster for a whispered exchange and a folded bill. She saw another employee, a woman named Brenda, who had been mentioned by Mark, guide people to specific counters where their paperwork seemed to vanish and reappear with unusual speed, again for a small, untraceable fee. The corruption wasn't loud or violent. It was quiet, almost polite. It was a subtle pressure, a knowing glance, a suggestion that things could be easier if one simply understood how things worked. Anna saw people pay for better parking spots, spots usually reserved for official staff. She saw others pay to get prime seating in public courtrooms, the kind of seats that offered a clear view of the proceedings, seats that should be free for anyone who arrived early enough. Each transaction was small, maybe $20, $30, $50. But these small sums added up, creating a steady stream of illicit income for the network. It was like a hidden tax on simply trying to access public services, a tax on patience, a tax on dignity. One afternoon, Anna stood near the security checkpoint, pretending to read a notice board. She watched as an elderly woman, frail and using a cane, struggled with her bag. Mark, the security guard, approached her. He spoke in a low, seemingly helpful tone. Anna could just catch snippets of their conversation. "Looks like you're having trouble, ma'am. Long day, huh? Trying to find the family court? That's a real maze." The woman nodded, her face etched with worry. "Don't worry," Mark continued. "I can help you get right through. Quicker, no fuss. Just a little something for my time, you understand. Help speed things up." Anna watched the elderly woman, clearly confused and tired, fumble in her purse. She pulled out a crumpled $5 bill, her hand trembling slightly. Mark took it, his face neutral, then pointed her to a shorter line that he then opened for her, ignoring the longer queue. Anna felt a surge of cold fury. This wasn't just about breaking rules. It was preying on the weak, exploiting vulnerability. She clenched her hands, fighting the urge to step forward, to reveal herself, to stop this casual cruelty. But she knew that one arrest wouldn't fix the rot. It would just be a single branch trimmed from a deeply rooted problem. She needed to understand the whole tree, how its roots spread, how it was fed. She pushed the anger down, reminding herself of her purpose. She was an observer now, a silent witness. During her visits, Anna also noticed other officials, sometimes a mid-level administrator, a man with a perpetually stern face, would walk through the public areas. He would nod briefly at Mark, a quick, almost dismissive gesture. Anna observed how Mark would subtly change his behavior when this administrator was near, becoming more formal, less openly transactional. But the transactions didn't stop. They just became more discreet, hidden behind a quick hand gesture or a whispered word. It was clear that this administrator either knew what was happening and chose to ignore it, or was willfully blind. The institutional failure was not just passive, it felt almost complicit. The system was designed to have oversight, but that oversight was failing, allowing the abuse to continue unchecked. This realization hit Anna hard. Her commitment to justice, forged over decades on the bench, demanded action. Yet her professional judgment told her that hasty action would be ineffective. She could expose Mark and a few others, but the culture that allowed them to flourish would remain. The moral limit for her was not just witnessing the injustice, but the painful decision to let it continue for a short time, to gather enough evidence to dismantle the entire network. Each day she went undercover, she wrestled with this choice. Every time she saw someone pay an illicit fee, every time she witnessed the subtle power play, a part of her screamed to intervene. But she held back, a silent observer gathering facts, building her case brick by painstaking brick. She knew that the true impact would come from exposing the system, not just the individuals. Anna started a detailed log. She bought a small, unassuming notebook and a pen. In it, she wrote down dates, times, descriptions of transactions, names of staff involved, and the specific services offered. She noted the amounts of money exchanged, the types of people targeted. She drew crude maps of the courthouse, marking where certain exchanges took place. The notebook became her secret weapon, a tangible record of the invisible corruption. She cross-referenced her observations with the anonymous complaints she had initially received. The patterns matched. It was all there, laid out in neat, precise handwriting, a blueprint of decay. The sheer volume of evidence she collected made it clear this was not just petty crime, but an organized scheme, a shadow economy operating within the very halls of justice. The decision to delay formal action weighed heavily on Anna. She saw the faces of the people being exploited, the confused, the desperate, the ones who simply wanted to get things done without hassle. Each face added to her internal burden. She knew she could put an end to it immediately, but the result would be temporary. Mark would be replaced. The system would find new loopholes. She had to ensure that this wouldn't happen again. The cost of this waiting, however, was personal. Her late nights meticulously documenting, her focused silence during the day, her preoccupation, all began to cast a shadow over her home life. Her teenage daughter Lily noticed the change. "Mom, are you okay?" she'd ask. Her brow furrowed. "You seem far away. You're working even more than usual." Anna would offer a tired smile, a vague explanation about a complex case, but Lily wasn't easily fooled. One evening, Anna had promised to help Lily with a school project, a detailed presentation due the next day. Anna found herself staring at her notes, reviewing a particularly blatant example of extortion. Lost in thought, Lily came into the kitchen, project materials spread out, but Anna's mind was elsewhere. "Mom?" Lily's voice was small, disappointed. Anna snapped back to reality, guilt washing over her. She apologized, promising to make it up, but the moment was lost. The project struggled, and Lily's quiet disappointment was a bitter sacrifice for Anna. Her commitment to justice was now taking a real toll on the most important relationship in her life. The weight of her duty, both as a judge and as a mother, pressed down on her, leaving her exhausted but more determined than ever. She knew she couldn't let this go on much longer. Something had to give. Anna's meticulous notebook grew heavier with each passing day. The entries detailed dates, times, and exact locations. She noted names or descriptions when names were unknown. Security guard Mark, dark hair, scar above right eye. Records clerk Brenda, short, always wears a floral scarf. She wrote down amounts, even small ones like $5 or $10, marking them next to the service rendered, expedited security check, faster document retrieval, prime courtroom seating. She started categorizing the patterns. noticing that Mark would often direct people to Brenda or to a specific window with a sign that read, "Information Desk," where another clerk, a younger man named Kevin, seemed to operate under similar unspoken rules. The network was more organized than she first thought. It wasn't just individual opportunism. There was a rhythm to it, a subtle choreography. Mark would identify targets, Brenda and Kevin would process them, and a portion of the fees seemed to disappear upwards. Anna observed the stern-faced administrator she had noticed before, Mr. Davies, making his rounds. He rarely spoke to Mark directly during these patrols, but his eyes would often flick in Mark's direction, a brief, silent acknowledgement. It felt less like oversight and more like a silent partnership. The knowledge that a higher-up might be aware or even benefiting solidified Anna's resolve. This was a deep-seated problem, not just a few bad apples. The emotional toll of witnessing this systemic exploitation without acting was immense. Each evening, as she carefully transcribed her handwritten notes into a digital, encrypted file, the faces of the people she had seen being taken advantage of flashed in her mind. The confused elderly woman, the young mother clutching her child, the immigrant unsure of where to go. They all carried an unspoken trust in the system, a trust that was being quietly, repeatedly betrayed. Anna felt the burden of their unwitting sacrifice. Her own daughter, Lily, continued to sense her mother's preoccupation. Lily had started asking if Anna was feeling sick or if something bad had happened at work. Anna found herself having to create more elaborate excuses, which only added to her guilt. She felt like she was living a double life, one as the respected Judge Reynolds, the other as the silent observer of injustice. The strain was showing. One afternoon, Anna saw a young man, barely out of his teens, trying to navigate the security checkpoint. He looked nervous, clutching a worn envelope. Mark stopped him, speaking in a low, authoritative voice. "Court appearance today? You look a little lost, son. What's the charge?" The young man mumbled something about a minor traffic violation, a court date he couldn't miss. Mark then launched into his usual spiel about lines and delays, but this time he added a new layer. "Look, I know a guy upstairs. Can get you a direct path to the right courtroom. Make sure your paperwork doesn't get misplaced. You definitely don't want your case to be called when you're still stuck in line, do you? Could mean a warrant." He mentioned a sum, larger than the usual $20 or $30, more like $100. The young man's face went pale. He nervously pulled out a wad of crumpled bills, counting them slowly. Anna saw the fear in his eyes, the genuine panic that he might miss his court date and face worse consequences. He handed over a significant portion of his money to Mark, who took it without a blink, then pointed him down a hall. That was the line, the deliberate instilling of fear, the direct threat of institutional failure for personal gain. It was no longer just convenience, it was coercion. Anna decided then that she had enough. Her evidence was solid. She had documented dozens of instances, cross-referenced complaints, and mapped the network of complicit staff. She had observed Mr. Davies's knowing nods. She had enough to launch an investigation, but she wanted to make sure the entire scope was exposed. She needed one final, decisive encounter, one that would push Mark to reveal the extent of the scheme and who truly benefited. She needed him to boast, to implicate, to lay out the whole rotten truth. Anna spent the next day planning her final move. She chose a specific scenario designed to exploit Mark's perceived authority and greed. She would present herself as a citizen in a dire, urgent situation, needing a highly sensitive document expedited. This would be a test, pushing him to reveal how much he truly controlled and how much he was willing to demand. She would go back to the courthouse the following morning, ready to spring her trap. She gathered her notebook, her phone, set to record discreetly, and a carefully prepared envelope filled with marked bills, a sum far greater than any Mark had demanded before. She knew the risk she was taking, stepping out of her judicial role and into this dangerous game, but the alternative, allowing the corruption to fester, was unthinkable. The next morning, Anna entered the courthouse through the public entrance, just as she had done countless times before. She approached Mark, her face carefully composed to convey a mixture of panic and desperation. "Officer," she began, her voice trembling slightly, "I have a serious problem. I need an urgent document from the clerk's office. It's for a medical emergency, a family member in critical condition. They need these records immediately, or it could be very bad." She held up a thick envelope, looking distraught. "I was told by the hospital to come directly here, to anyone who could help me get these records pulled right away. There's no time to wait." Mark, seeing the desperation and the thick envelope, straightened up. His eyes gleamed with a familiar predatory glint. This was a bigger fish. "Medical emergency, huh? That's serious business, ma'am," he said, trying to sound sympathetic, but his eyes were on the envelope. "You came to the right place. Most people don't understand how things work around here. Lines, paperwork, missing files. It can all take forever. But I can make calls. I can pull strings. For something this urgent, this important, we can cut through all that red tape." He leaned closer, lowering his voice conspiratorially. "But for a service like that, ma'am, a real emergency bypass, it's not cheap. We're talking a significant amount. This isn't just about a birth certificate anymore. This involves some higher-ups who need to be made aware, if you catch my meaning." He motioned subtly upwards, a clear implication that the money would reach beyond just him. Anna played her part perfectly, her voice laced with fear. "How much? Whatever it takes. I can't afford to lose this time." Mark smiled, a smug, self-satisfied grin. "For something this critical, to get everything moving right now and make sure it stays quiet, it'll be $500. And that includes a special escort right to the records, no questions asked. I'll make sure it gets put right on the desk of Mr. Davies himself, who'll personally oversee it." He had just implicated his supervisor, Mr. Davies, and outlined the full reach of his network, confident in his untouchable position. He held out his hand, expecting the large sum. As his fingers brushed the envelope Anna was holding, a calm, unwavering resolve settled over her. She didn't flinch. Instead of handing over the money, she reached into her inner jacket pocket. Mark's smile faltered, a flicker of confusion crossing his face. Anna pulled out a small leather wallet. She opened it and held it up, displaying a gleaming federal badge. Her identification card, clear and official, bore her photo and the title, Judge Anna Reynolds, Federal District Court. The color drained from Mark's face. His jaw went slack. The smug confidence vanished, replaced by a look of pure, unadulterated shock. His eyes darted around, suddenly aware of the public eyes he had ignored for so long. The illusion of his power, his carefully constructed world of petty corruption, shattered into a million pieces right there, in front of everyone. The silence that fell between them was heavy, broken only by the distant sounds of the bustling courthouse, a world he had thought he controlled. His entire scheme, everything he had built, had just come crashing down. Mark's face went utterly blank, the color drained from his skin, leaving him looking like a ghost. His hand, which had been outstretched for the illicit payment, slowly dropped to his side, trembling slightly. The smug grin that had been a permanent fixture on his face vanished, replaced by a look of disbelief and then raw fear. He tried to speak, but no words came out, only a choked sound. Anna, standing before him no longer as a desperate citizen, but as a federal judge, held his gaze. Her expression was calm, resolute, and unwavering. The quiet bustling of the courthouse seemed to fade into a distant hum for Mark. His world had just caved in. Anna didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. Her authority, once hidden, now filled the space between them. "Mark," she said, her voice clear and firm. "I am Judge Anna Reynolds. I have been observing your activities and those of your associates for weeks. This ends now." She stepped back, still holding up her ID for another moment, letting the reality sink in. Then, with a decisive move, she pulled out her phone, which had been discreetly recording their entire conversation. "Everything you just said about the $500, about Mr. Davies, about higher-ups, it's all recorded. And I have weeks of documented evidence, right here." She tapped her jacket where her hidden notebook lay. Mark stumbled back, bumping into the metal detector. He looked around wildly, suddenly aware of the people in line, the very public he had routinely exploited. Their faces were now turning, curious about the sudden silence and the strange interaction. A few security personnel, Mark's colleagues, started to notice the commotion. Anna didn't wait. She used her phone to dial an internal number, a direct line to the courthouse's chief marshal. "Marshal Peterson," she spoke into the phone, her voice steady. "This is Judge Reynolds. I am at the main public entrance. I need you to send officers immediately. We have a situation with security guard Mark. He is to be detained. I have evidence of severe corruption." Within minutes, uniformed Marshal Service officers, not Mark's usual colleagues, were at the scene. They moved swiftly and professionally, their faces grim. Mark, still in a state of shock, offered no resistance. His bravado was completely gone. He was led away in handcuffs, his head down, the murmurs of the crowd growing louder as people realized what had just happened. The image of the once powerful security guard, now a handcuffed prisoner, spread quickly through the courthouse. It was a public and undeniable fall from his self-appointed throne. Anna immediately proceeded to her chambers, where Marshal Peterson and other high-ranking officials were waiting. She laid out her evidence, the meticulously kept notebook, the audio recordings, and a summary of her observations. She described the patterns of extortion, the specific individuals involved, and the implied complicity of mid-level administrators like Mr. Davies. The room was silent as she spoke, the weight of her words heavy in the air. Marshal Peterson listened intently, his face grave. He assured her that a full and comprehensive internal investigation would be launched immediately, led by an independent oversight committee to ensure impartiality. The evidence was too overwhelming to ignore. The very next day, the courthouse hummed with a different kind of tension. Brenda, the records clerk, and Kevin, the information desk attendant, were both questioned and then arrested. Their casual corruption, once hidden in plain sight, was now exposed. Mr. Davies, the stern-faced administrator, was also brought in for questioning. He initially denied any knowledge, claiming he was unaware of Mark's activities. But when confronted with Anna's detailed logs, the audio recording implicating him, and the testimonies of Mark, Brenda, and Kevin, who had now begun to cooperate, his denials crumbled. He was placed on administrative leave, his career and reputation shattered. The network of petty corruption, once a subtle undercurrent, was now publicly ripped apart, leaving behind a raw, exposed wound in the institution. The news spread like wildfire through the courthouse staff. Some felt a sense of relief, others a deep shame. There was anger, too, from those who felt their integrity had been stained by the actions of a few. The immediate arrests were a shock, but they were only the beginning. The Independent Oversight Committee, assembled from outside the district, began its arduous work. They interviewed dozens of staff members, reviewed financial records, and implemented immediate changes to public access procedures. New signs were posted, clearly stating that all services were free and that bribery was a crime. Complaint boxes were installed in prominent locations, and an anonymous hotline was established. The goal was not just to punish the wrongdoers, but to rebuild a system where such corruption could not take root again. For Judge Anna Reynolds, the aftermath was complex. Professionally, her actions were met with a mix of admiration and apprehension. Many of her peers praised her courage and dedication to justice. They saw her as a hero who had risked her own position to uphold the integrity of the bench. But others, particularly those who valued strict adherence to procedure, questioned her unconventional methods. Going undercover, they argued, was outside the bounds of a judge's role, setting a potentially dangerous precedent. There were closed-door meetings, formal inquiries into her conduct, and quiet debates about the ethics of her approach. Anna faced this scrutiny with the same quiet dignity she had always shown, defending her choices by pointing to the undeniable outcome, a corrupt system exposed. Personally, the emotional toll was heavy. Exposing colleagues, even corrupt ones, was not an easy thing to do. The atmosphere in the courthouse, once familiar, now felt charged with a lingering tension. The public fallout was also difficult, but there was also a profound sense of peace. She had acted, she had lived up to her oath. At home, Lily, though still confused by the sudden flurry of news reports mentioning her mother, understood that Anna had done something important, something brave. Anna spent more time with Lily, helping with homework, listening to her talk about school, slowly mending the threads of their relationship that had stretched thin during her undercover work. The courthouse, that grey block of stone, began its slow, painful journey toward rebuilding public trust. It was not a sudden, clean victory. The scars of the corruption would remain, a stark reminder of how easily integrity could be eroded. The work of reform was continuous, requiring persistent vigilance and courage from everyone within the system. Anna Reynolds, back in her robes, continued her judicial duties, but now with a deeper understanding of the struggles faced by ordinary citizens. She knew that the fight for true justice was never truly over, and that sometimes the greatest acts of justice required stepping out of the shadows and confronting the darkness within. When silence protects abuse, telling that story is already justice.